everyone. I think that guilt has to be one of the worst feelings, right underneath grief and heartbreak. This haunting feeling of guilt is one that I've been bracing myself for a couple of years now. For those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ashima and you're watching my channel, Aesthetic Academic. I started this channel because a few years ago, I actually got kicked out of this university, and then a few years after that, I managed to get accepted back here into a medicine degree. So I thought that was a pretty sweet 180 and a story of hope that was worth sharing. So subscribe to my channel if you want to feel good about dreaming big and having goals, irrespective of how you've performed in the past. I just finished week 1 of year 2 of my MD degree. What that means in an Australian syllabus is that 95% of my learning has been in tutorials or online. I've had very minimal patient interaction and I've probably spoken to about 4 or 5 patients in total. In other words, I barely know anything. One of the key and very good points that the university has drummed into us is not to give any diagnosis or medical advice because we are not doctors. While this makes perfect sense, it creates a bit of an awkward situation with friends and family. Before becoming a med student, like most people, I was pretty comfortable having conversations about medicine with my friends and family. For example, basic stuff like, do you think I should take this Panadol? Should I be worried about this? Etc. I felt okay giving my best advice because everyone knew to take that with a grain of salt. I basically overcompensate now and shut down every conversation that I have about medicine with friends and family because I'm just so worried about giving someone the wrong advice. Cut to yesterday when I received a call from a good girlfriend seeking some medical advice. She had been speaking to her mum, and mid-conversation, her mum had lost her ability to speak for about a minute. So my friend was calling me to ask if I thought that she should go to the hospital. You don't need to be a doctor or a medical student to hear the stroke alarm bells blaring when you hear that. So I replied to her and said, yep, I do think you should go to the hospital. There was a bit of a transport debacle, so they stalled briefly and then they remembered that their friend, who was a qualified general practitioner, was going to be home at any minute. So I said, great that he's going to be home like right now, definitely get his opinion because he's actually a doctor and I'm not a doctor. A short while later, I got a call back from my friend who had spoken to the doctor neighbour, and the neighbour had said, don't worry, it's fine. Nothing to stress about. When I heard that the doctor neighbour had said that, I thought to myself, there must be some nuance to stroke that I just don't know yet because I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to trust this person's opinion. I told my friend that I trusted the opinion of the doctor and so did she, and then I also suggested that she could call the nurse on call as well, and I also said that I definitely suggest going to the doctor tomorrow, which they were already going to do. The next day, my friend's mum went to the hospital and it turns out that she had had a mini stroke the night before. I feel awful and so responsible because I went against my initial instinct and I feel like such a failure. My friend's mum is fine, thankfully, but it could have easily not been fine. My inaction and my diminished concern could have had catastrophic consequences. I'm not even sure what exactly I've learned from this scenario. I guess I should trust my initial instincts, but then again, I think it's going to be very hard if a senior doctor is telling me that they think something and to go against that. Anyway, this is part of the life that I've chosen, and I hope you enjoy my video about my first week of medical school.
Can't seem to fall asleep. Looks like I'm telling a horror story right now because I basically am. It feels like the first step towards actually working, which is terrifying. Being here now, it's like, shit, okay, this is real.
I am on my way to the gym, and this is all part of get Ashima out of her holiday sloth mode and into uni productivity mode, which I need to have because taking several hours to get one thing from the grocery store just isn't going to cut it when I've got uni on and I'm trying to make videos as well. Morning mode is not my natural state. My natural state is stay up till 3 in the morning and eat pods, but I do everything I can to not be like that, at least when I have the semester on. But this is the first year that we're always in the hospital. From now on in this 4-year degree, we're not going to be on the school campus anymore. We're exclusively going to be at the hospital and we're their responsibility for teaching. Our whole cohort got split up into, I think, 4 or 5 different schools. I'm at a hospital with 70 people from my cohort, and that's going to be us for the next 3 years. It's Wednesday today. We actually started technically on Monday, but it's just been death by Zoom for Monday and Tuesday, so I didn't want to bore you guys. Today is my first day in, so I'm excited to show you guys what that's all like. How nice is this gum tree, by the way? I was filling in all of my assessments into my diary last night, and it was just making me pretty nervous because there just looks like there's so much that we have due. This is what that terrifying amount of assessments looks like in our study guide. There is so many. and all of the practical skills as well. We have to know how to do a venipuncture, an indwelling catheter, and to be completely honest, like I'm not that comfortable with blood. Like I actually don't really like injecting into veins. Like whenever that has to happen to me, I'm really not about it. So I'm just gonna have to conquer my fears this year. I try not to say that out loud too much just because I don't wanna like solidify that concept in my head, but that's definitely a fear of mine. Just walking towards the hospital now. I got here a bit early to try to find some good parking because I'm just someone who refuses to pay for parking if I can avoid it. But I'm feeling nervous, I have a whole bag packed like a geek because I also don't know what to bring. It's like, oh, I don't want to not bring something, so I guess I'll just bring everything then. I hope I don't have to talk to a patient because I'm not ready to talk to a patient yet. So I jinxed myself and we did have to talk to a patient. So what we had to do today was we had like an orientation with, I think it was with the nurse unit manager, and we had to just walk around a ward and orientate ourselves with all the paperwork and all the safety procedures and that sort of stuff. We had to do like a scavenger hunt of information. So we were looking through some patient history files and trying to find out where do they live, what is their GP's name, what medication were they on when they came to the hospital. I tell you what though, going through all of that information was so hard. Looking at all of the different acronyms and stuff, I was like, oh my God, like how am I ever gonna learn this? But I guess you just pick it up. We had to ask the patient a few questions at the end and I was like nervous at first, but then I just snapped into my customer service personality. Hi, how you going? I worked at IKEA for 10 years, so my customer service personality is strong. I'm heading to a therapy session now, and then I'm going to go home and look over my stuff for tomorrow and have a good relax. I'm pretty addicted to frozen berries, as you can see. This is everything we got delivered this week. It's actually a pretty unhealthy week. That happens sometimes. So we're gonna have sushi with satay, skewers, and avocado and tofu at some point. And then we're also gonna have some other wraps that are like more kebab style wraps with hummus. We've got some yogurt and also some carrots and chicken. And then I think, we're gonna have like a leek and onion soup at some point as well. And then just some rice and milk, obviously. I really like milk. So I plan all my meals for the week for dinner because I hate having to think of what I'm gonna have for dinner that night because it just takes up too much time and I'd rather be relaxing. I just got back from the gym and I have a lecture in a few minutes, but it's just one that's going over our assessment for the year. So nothing too technical. So I'm going to multitask this one and make some dinner preparations while I listen to it. So I have less to do tonight when I get home from being at the hospital.
Just before we start, just a couple of announcements. So there's a variety of the executive able to business on you coming up with differential diagnosis of the sessions and turn up for those, and they're the ones you need to achieve IV cantillation.
So now the caramelization process is done. So I'm just putting it into a container. I'm going to put this into the fridge, and then later on tonight, I'm going to add some frozen spinach and then blend it up in my NutriBullet and then add some stock and some ravioli. And then it'll only take me another probably 15-20 minutes to bring together after this point. So that'll make dinner nice and easy. My stupidity is peaking today and I am just the dumbest person alive right now. I was on a roll of getting stuff done today and all my lectures were really admin-y, organisation-y sort of ones. So I was like putting some washing in the washer and I had been to the gym this morning and I was like, I know, I'll have a shower while I listen to this Zoom lecture with my camera off and my microphone off, which seemed like a good idea at the time. It's not a good idea at all. I got in the shower and I was like, holy fuck, what am I doing? If a drop of water falls on the wrong side of this phone, you know how sometimes, who does anyone listen to stuff while they shower? Anyway, sometimes the drops of water can press buttons. So the whole time I was in the shower, I was like, oh my God, if a drop of water falls in the wrong spot, I am literally done for. I'm going to get expelled from uni. I'm going to give everyone the worst show of all time. They're going to have to get therapy from the fucking PTSD I gave them. And it was just very, very stressful. Even getting out of the shower, I had to gingerly move around it like I was in a spy movie, too afraid to be over my phone in case some water fell off my head and onto the phone. Anyway, crisis averted, but I do not recommend multitasking and having a shower while in a Zoom lecture. So I caught myself thinking about something that really annoyed me that I even thought about it. But I was getting dressed to come to the hospital and I'm wearing this bodysuit, so I had to wear a bra underneath it. And normally I don't even like wearing a bra and I'm all about free the nipple, but I understand that being in a hospital environment is not the place to rebel against, you know, those systems and the patriarchy. So like, fine, I'll wear a bra. And then I put on a bra. I was looking in the mirror and I was like, oh no, like I can see the indent of the bra line through my bodysuit, like kind of, I could see it in the back. I was thinking for a moment and I was like, is that appropriate? Like, I'm not sure if that's appropriate. And it just gobsmacked me that I even had that thought. That is the line of my bra through my shirt, which is a very appropriate shirt. That's how deeply women have to think about what they're wearing so that society deems them as appropriate. And it's just quite frustrating when you stop to think about it. That was fun, and now I feel a bit sick. It actually boggles my mind that in a few years I'm going to be an actual doctor and actually have to do decision making. That just seems like such a massive responsibility, because it is. And I'm just so glad that I'm the age that I am now and not any younger, because I am barely ready for that responsibility now. I found that I keep trying to admit my dirty little secret of not loving needles. So like when we were on our tour today, our MD4 was like, oh, like, are you guys worried about anything? Like anything that I can reassure you about? I was like, I'm not that confident about the procedural skills. And then he asked someone else in the group, he's like, oh, most patients are fine with it. Like, you're fine with it, right? Like, do you mind needles? And the other person in my group was like, oh, nah. But like, I actually mind needles. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. I'm confident that I can get over it and conquer this fear, but it's definitely there. Bye, everyone. I have a new lease on life now that I've figured out how to ride my bicycle. It's so liberating. I love it. I love that I can cycle to dinner. Like, I've never been able to do that before. Where I grew up was super hilly, so that just never happened. Anyway, that was so much fun. It was so good to see everyone. Lots of people that I had in my classes and got to make friends with at the start of last year. We had so little time to get to know people last year that I really appreciate the friendships that I made, because we just didn't have that much time. But the people I met and the friends I made, they're so awesome. Really grateful. I feel so happy and excited about life right now. I don't think I've been this happy in about a year. I just feel very optimistic. The weather's perfect. Life just feels good, and it just feels nice to feel this way, because I certainly didn't feel this way last year. I was feeling quite down in the dumps all of last year, and uni just felt like such a chore. And yeah, I just wasn't really that happy, but seeing people today and then knowing that I'm going to be seeing my friends every day and learning as I go, like, that just sounds like bliss. And I'm just so happy and excited and ready to take on the year. Guys, I feel so fucking good right now, and there's this whole ass rainbow happening, and I just can't even deal with how perfect this morning is. The weather is stunning. The contrast of myself from right now to last year is significant. I had no desire to film last year because I was just in such a bad mood. It felt like pretending, but I actually just feel so good and so excited. I'm just heading into the hospital right now so I can use the library to go over some of my lecture content. And then I think all we have on today is that we're meeting the intern who we're going to be on placement with on Monday. So Monday is actually when we start doing everything properly and being in the hospital properly. So far it's only been introduction, but it kicks off then. And our first rotation is through surgery. So that's gonna be super interesting. This week has been incredibly chill, so I'm just embracing and enjoying this calm before the storm. Week one was over. It was very cruisy, very not stressful. I only said about 20 words to a patient. Haven't seen any blood or anything like that. Oh, I'm feeling very reassured actually at the moment, because we had a talk with the dean of the school, and he's like super nice, very friendly guy. But he was just basically talking about how You know, some of us will faint when we see something in the ED, or when you see like a bit of bone poking through a leg or something confronting, and that's just going to happen, and to not feel bad about it. We then met up with the intern that we're going to be under or with starting from Monday. And because of COVID, we're a group of 6, but not all 6 of us can be with the team. I'm just still getting used to the language. I don't really know what everything is yet. But basically our group of 6 needs to split up across the days in order to attend the ward rounds. So the ward round is like this big meeting thing that happens in the morning, and then a team of doctors go around to each patient bed, and then they discuss their plans for that patient for that day. So it's like a team meeting basically at the start of the day. The surgical ward rounds start at 6:30. I just don't even know how I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to go to bed at like, I don't know, like what time? 5? And I have been known to sleep in before. Like I slept into one of my biomedical science exams, which was a story in itself. I slept in an hour and a half past when the exam started. I'm gonna have to set like 10 alarms. All my peers at the hospital that I'm at are actually at drinks at the moment, but I decided to opt out because firstly, I have something on, I've got a singing lesson, but secondly, I just have a lot of stuff to do this weekend. I need to edit this video, which I'm pretty slow, so it takes me a long time to do. I don't ever sacrifice sleep. I sacrifice anything else I can, which unfortunately sometimes ends up being fun social occasions. You really can't have it all. Busy, Billy. Oh, hey babies. Good girl, come in. James and I are so bad at singing. We're in the real beginner stages of learning how to sing. Our teacher is an opera singer, so he's amazing. He's such a good singer. I love having singing to focus on because it's the only thing in my life truly that is not got a number attached to it. Like YouTube has a number attached to it. My grades have a number attached to them. The gym has numbers attached to them. So that can all just get really tiring and remove the fun. But singing is just purely feels good. There's no number allocated to it, and it just makes me feel really happy. Thanks so much for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, it would be awesome if you can like, comment and subscribe, as it really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you next week as I share with you more of my med school journey.